right? For one, or the punishment for others. Tzibur ba'avudat kochavim minayin. Okay, so what about that example? Okay, when the community is transgressing idol worship, what's the basis there? Amar Kra, says the pasuk. Ve'im nefesh. Okay, so we had that pasuk, right? So what happens? V'yelamed elyon mitachton. Okay, and here again, we sort of do the opposite from the lower section or the lower pasuk. We learn the above. Elet tzibur b'shar mitzvot minalan, but punishment for a community when they transgress any other kind of love other than avodah zarah. What is the situation there? Mi'alif me'enai me'enai. We learn again from a gezerah shava, right, of the two words. For Rebbe, and as far as Rebbe goes, Hai Torah Achat, this law that we just saw above, of comparing all the laws of the Torah, okay, having the same punishment, okay, with other laws that have that the transgression of other laws, again with a Zadon or a Shgaga, Koret or Chatat. What's the basis? Mibayele Likaditanya. Okay, Rebbe is going to learn it from a different source. It's necessary for him, for Rebbe, Likaditanya, as taught the following. Lefi Shematzinu, right? Because we find Shechilek HaKatuv Bein Yechidim Lemerubim, because the text makes a difference between transgressions done by individuals versus
avodah zarah,
right, versus transgressions done by a group. Okay, Yechidim b'skila. Okay, that when it's an individual who transgresses, and the significance here is what? Avodah zarah, and they are punished by stoning, skila. Lefichach momanan palat. Their money is spared. Their material goods, their property, the things like that, that's spared. Okay, right? Mirubin. But when it's the many, in other words, when it's like a community, like an Ir Nadachas, okay, what happens? B'sayif. They are put to death by the sword, and all of their property is ineligible to be inherited. It's burnt, it's destroyed. Okay?
Being killed by a sword is less severe than being stoned?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Think of, right, the order. Skila, Sreifa, Hereg, Hennig. Okay?
Yeah.
Right? Skila, okay? And there was a machloket, whether Skila or Sreifa, which is more severe. That was between Rabbanan and I think it was Rabbi Yehuda. In any case, all right? The Fichach Mamonam Ibed. Therefore, says the Gemara, their property, okay, when it's a communal avodah zarah transgression, namely Ir Nidachat is our classic example, okay, their property is lost. Okay? Yachol machlok b'kivonotehen. So the Gemara asks, if we make a distinction between how they are punished, maybe we need to also understand that there should be a distinction between what offerings that need to be brought.
If they do it accidentally.
Okay, in the situation. Okay, Talmud Lomar. Okay, what does the text tell us? Torah achat yelachem. This is how Rebbe learns it, that there is one law, okay, for all of them. Namely, one law of what offering they bring. Now, what happens? Matkif la Rav Chilkia Mehagronia. Rav Chilkia Mehagronia challenged this learning of Rebbe's. Okay? Ta'ama, the Katav Rachmana. The reason is, says that the Torah says, Torah achat yeh lechem, that it will be to one of you. Ha, lav hachi. That's not the case. That's not the application. Hava amina, nechalek. If I say that you divide it up, my to. What then are they going to bring? Okay. If you're suggesting different offerings, okay, how would you divide it up? To par. If you say they bring a bull, tzibur b'shar mitzvot hu demaitu. The community, when it begins to, if it transgresses other kinds of items, other lavim, other than we're saying avodah zara, okay, right? What are they bringing? That's what they bring. They bring a bull in those situations. Kisva, regarding a lamb, I mean right, a she lamb, right? Yachid b'shar mitzvot hu demaite. Okay, regarding the individual, brings that in other situations, not for avodah zara. Sa'ir, all right, in that particular example, nasi b'shar mitzvot hu demaite. That's what he has to bring. Par le'olah v'sa'ir lechatat. When we said before that they have to bring a bull for a burnt offering and the sa'ir for chatat, tzibur ba'avodat kochavim hu demaitu. That's what the community has to bring when it transgresses avodah zara. Ve'elamai. So what do we say? Is it se'ira? Okay, maybe it's that, to bring a se'ira, right? The se'ira being, we said, the goat, right? Yachid nami hainu kurbano. That also is possible to bring as an individual has to bring that offering, right? It's tarich, so it's necessary. Sal kadat chamina. It's possible I might have said, ho'il v'tzibur b'hora'ah maitu, since we see that that the community is directed to bring maitu par le'olah v'se'ir lechatat, commanded or by direction to bring a bull for an offering, burnt offering, and the sa'ir for chatat. In hunami nitu ipcha. Okay, maybe they don't bring that, and I would say bring the opposite, namely inami, or perhaps it's necessary. Tzarich, we need to say it. Ve'ein lo takana, and maybe there is no remedy. There is no way of dealing with this. Kamash Malan comes to teach us that that's not the case, right? So we come back to our example then, okay, that regarding avodah zara, okay, in all the cases there is one kind of offering. In other lavim, there's still a different offerings. That's what it comes back to. Okay, we now go back to continue. Amar Levi the Rebbe says, my area, the Tani. Okay, we come back to what I'll call our topic, all right, from our Mishnah. Remember, we said that the Mishnah said there were 15 women. We saw an argument, maybe there was more, maybe there was 16. The Gemara raised the question. Okay, now we're going to get to our Yibum stuff back again. So he asks Rebbe, Mai Arya Datani Tadvav. Why is it that our Mishnah, I'm going to say specifically, taught 15? Litnei Ted Zion. Maybe they should teach 16. Remember, we saw there was an earlier discussion in the Gemara. This one said it was regarding miyun, one said it was regarding taking back a grusha, things like that, right? Okay. Amarle, he said to him, Kim domeli she'en lo moach bekad kado. What a put down, okay? Doesn't have a brain in his head, okay? That's how I would loosely translate it, okay? All right. My datech, what is your view? Okay. Imo anusat avi. Okay. So what happens? Okay. Okay. The mother, all right. Okay, says the Gemara, was forced by the father. Okay. So, so I come back here.
What does that mean?
Okay. This fellow, according to the Gemara now, raped or had, if he didn't rape her, maybe it was with,
Forced.
okay, even if she was
Seduced.
willingly,
Rude.
an out of wedlock
Right.
situation with this woman.
Before they were married? Or what we're talking about?
Out of wedlock.
Out of wedlock.
He had
They weren't married.
a relationship with this woman,
I see, okay.
either by rape
Okay.
or simply out of wedlock.
Okay.
Could be consensual. I want to give both. All right.
Wow.
Okay, let's give him the dan lechaf zechus for a moment. Okay. All right. In either case, and it could be that they had progeny. Okay. No, I wouldn't call it mamzer, because mamzer is a very legal term. Mamzer is only a situation where, okay, where he is married, okay, and then he has a relationship with this woman. If he's not married,
No. The Mamzer is where he's married to a woman who is an erva to him.
yeah, that's why I say it's a very specific
The
legal.
argument is whether the erva
No,
is
not
a
if
lav
she's
or
a-
a chorus. That's the definition of Mamzer. The Gemara's going to tell you in the next stop.
We'll get to see. We'll get to
That-
see that.
But that's the definition of erva.
We'll
of a
see
mom.
that. We'll see that.
Okay.
Okay, I'm just saying, he has a relationship, a non-wedded relationship with this woman. Okay? If he's not married, the progeny is not a mamzer. Right?
The woman is not
If
married.
his marriage to her would be legal, then it's not a mamzer. If it's illegal, then it's a mamzer.
Okay? That's the point.
Okay, so when two single people get together, it's not
If two single people get together
it's not-
and produce a progeny, that child is not a mamzer.
It doesn't matter even if he's married. If the woman is legal for him, quote, legal for him, it's not a mamzer. If she's illegal to him, then it's a mamzer.
If,
not an heir, that's what you mean.
well, that's, no, I wouldn't translate it if she's not an erva to him. Okay?
If the kedushin cannot take place, then that child is a mamzer.
That child is not a mamzer.
If
Yes,
the
a mamzer.
kedushin cannot, is not toe-faced, then the child is.
We'll get to that. We'll get to
But
that.
the Torah does not consider them married just because they had a child together.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay? Now, the problem is, really, in essence, deoraita, his having had conjugal relations with her does make them married. Because according to Oraita, all you need is bia. The Rabbanan, you need more than that.
Right.
That's part of the issue. Okay? All right. So coming back then. Okay? So he gave this guy not necessarily my datech imo anusat aviv. The mother was, okay, impregnated, I'll use that word, lack of another term, okay, by his father. Now, stop for a moment and think. Could the man who impregnated this woman, could his brother then marry that woman? The answer is
No,
yes.
that's Anusas Aviv. That's the Torah's, what the Torah.
Well, we're going to see. All right. We'll see. Could he marry that woman? What about the progeny of that pregnancy? Could he marry her? Clearly, yes. That certainly he could. Okay. The question, though, we're raising is still, could he marry the woman that got raped or pregnant from his, all right? Okay. Now, the Torah, remember, has said the question is going up, going down, right? Right? Could the son marry the
Anusas Aviv.
right? The woman that the father raped? There, clearly we have a Torah prohibition. Okay, so what goes on? Imo anusat aviv plugta, the Gemara tells us. Okay, where his mother was impregnated by his father. Okay, there is a machloket, the Rebbe Yehuda v'Rabbanan, of Rebbe Yehuda and Rabbanan. Ubeplugta lo kamaire. And the Gemara is simply saying, and in that kind of a situation, our Mishnah doesn't deal with machlokot here. Okay? But the Gemara says, velo? No, you're saying that our Mishnah doesn't touch those 15 or 16 examples, don't deal at all with any machloket. V'harei isur mitzvah v'isur kedusha. But here we have, right, the prohibition of the mitzvah and a prohibition of sanctity. Why? The pligi Rabbi Akiva Rabbanan. Because we have a similar argument between Rabbi Akiva and the rabbi. Uktane, and it's taught there. But Pirkin Ka'amrinan. No, he says, in our chapter, okay, it's talked about it. I think it's the third parak.
Yeah.
Okay, second or third parak. It's going to go into detail in that kind of situation. Vaha Beit Shammai metirin et hatzarot la'achim. And here we have that Beit Shammai permits, right, the co-wives to the brothers. Beit Hillel osrin. And Beit Hillel is the one that forbids. Okay.
So you see, we have an argument in our Mishnah between the Shammai.
Exactly. So our Mishnah does have deal with arguments. Okay. So the Gemara tells us Beit Shammai, right? B'mkom Beit Hillel, Eina Mishnah. Okay, that we don't include, because of that, we don't include Beit Shammai in any this discussion of our Mishnah. V'harei eshet achiv shelo olamo. But what about a situation where we have the case of a brother that wasn't born yet? Okay, what do we have there? The plige reish Rabbi Shimon v'Rabbanan, where again the rabbis, where we have a machloket between Rabbi Shimon and the rabbis, right? Uktane, and it's taught as follows: Binolad, in a situation where he was born, Ulavasof Yabem, Lo Plig Palig Rabbi Shimon, and that afterwards he performs Yibum, and Rabbi Shimon then doesn't disagree. He doesn't argue. So the Gemara says, V'ha'amar Rabbi Oshaya. All right, didn't Rabbi Oshaya say in that situation, Chaluk haya Rabbi Shimon af b'rishona, excuse me, that Rabbi Shimon also made a distinction in regarding the first one, the earlier case. Okay, so what happens? So here, aha, itotav Rabbi Oshaya, Amar Rabbi Yehuda, Amar Rav. Okay, so what happens? They responded to Rabbi Oshaya's statement and sort of threw it out, negated it. Okay, Va'amar Rav Yehuda. And didn't Rav Yehuda say, Amar Rav, in the name of Rav, V'chein Tani Rabbi Chia Bekulan, in all these cases, Ani Korei Bahen Ha'asura Lazeh, Muteret Lazeh. One who is forbidden to this one is permitted to another one. Okay? Va'asura lazeh, muteret lazeh. And one who is forbidden to this one is permitted to this one. Okay? So what are we going to, how do we understand that? Okay? Just if I have, we got another brother in there. Where's the, okay. So we've got four brothers now. Okay? And what's going to happen? Okay? Again, a situation is going to occur, okay, where we said what is going to happen if this brother dies and this brother dies. Okay? Now, can this brother do yibum to her? Can't, because she's the sister. Right? Right? Now, can he over here do yibum to her?
No.
Okay. Why? Because she's
Brother's wife.
brother's wife. Can he do yibum to her? This co-wife? Sure. Okay. Let's go further. Can he? Okay. What happens if he married her? Or if he marries her?
Okay.
Right? So all of these are some of the other permutations that can come up. And that's why all the diagrams, if you've got art scroll, you can see on 9B2, okay, and 9B3, and then 9B4, you can see the multiple diagrams, okay? The one of, for example, of the non-contemporary brother, as well. So that's what all of those diagrams are there for, to show in each of the case various examples and cases. Why one might be forbidden to one, okay, if you look, for example, on 9B4, all right, the one that says wife's sister, okay, okay, and who's married to whom and how, where they exit, it shows they can't do that, can't have yibum to that, but they could do yibum or chalitza to a different one. Okay. The art scroll diagrams are good, but I think they're a little more complicated than the Koren diagrams. Okay, or the one that otherwise, right? Okay, so what happens? So we said got to the point where we said Ani Koreh. This was Rav Yehuda in the name of Rav, in the name of Rabbi Chia. Ani Koreh bahen ha'asura lezeh muteret lezeh, va'asura lezeh muteret lezeh, va'achota shehi yavamta. Okay, so in that case, the sister that he, right, what happens? Achota shehi yavamta, choletzet o mityabemet. Okay, so therefore, with that woman, that okay, he can do either chalitza or ibul. V'Rav Yehuda mitagem bechamoto. Okay, so what had happened? Rav Yehuda understood it. Okay, in terms of a situation with a father-in-law, right, and onward. Aval shita b'bei dereisha lo. Okay, but in regards to the situation of
First case.
right, first case, well, I was going to say, ultimately they go to a situation of 6 brothers. Okay, but in a situation where there's 6 brothers, okay, as part of the first case, that is not doable. Ma'itama kevan debito bu'unasin mishkachet. Okay, so he tries to present then another scenario. Okay, that as I said, the progeny of the woman who was a non-wedded relationship, right? Benisuin lo mishkachet. But if there was a marriage, that wouldn't work. Benisuin kamaire, but we're talking about
Are we
nisuin,
talking about a marriage?
right? Ba'onsin lo kamaire. But in terms of talking about non-wedded relationships, we're not dealing with that. Okay, so what happens? Va'baye matargem af babito me'anusato. And Abaye also understands it and explains it with regards to the situation of the daughter of a woman from a non-wedded relationship. Kevan de ishkoche mishkachet la, since we find that possibility. In other words, again, saying, okay, if he had a relationship with this woman, and then he was the one who died, okay? And that's why I threw in the fact that it could be a non-wedded relationship here, or it could be that this was a second wife, or it's her second marriage.
Right.
Her first husband died, okay? And then she could have had a progeny, okay, from her first marriage that she brought into this relationship, okay? And then this woman could have wound up marrying one of her uncles. Okay?
Step uncles.
Right, okay? And remember, back in their day, marriage of a niece to an uncle was considered a mala, a significant upgrade. I don't want to say, maybe upgrade isn't the right word, but a major marriage. Important.
Mordechai to Esther.
Well, that was right. That's we see that. Okay. Right. So, but Abaye is saying, wait a second. You could have a different situation. Okay. Let's assume he married her. If he's the youngest son, the youngest brother, it's possible that he could marry her, right? If she dies, can he marry his mother-in-law? What the woman who was his mother-in-law?
No.
Okay. But Abaye is saying to us, Af bito, right? Right, so that's the point. Va'abai matargim af bito me'anusato, kivan de'eshkuchei mishkachat la, ibai min ha'unsin tahave. It's possible that it could have come, as we said, an unwedded. Ibai min ha'nisuin tahave. So there's the Gemara is giving us that other alternative that I suggested, that he did marry that woman because it was his, she had been married before, right? Aval eshet achiv shelo haya ba'olamo lo. But if he, this guy back here, okay, wasn't around, okay, if he wasn't born till later, okay, till after he died, can't. Okay? Aval eshet achiv shelo ba'olamo lo. My Tama, what's the reasoning? Kevan de la Rabbi Shimon, who the mishkachet la. The Rabbanan, lo mishkachet. Rabbis did not accept it. Okay, that's the situation. Okay, Rabbi Yehuda was the only one who accepted it. But Plukta, and we say therefore again, with regards to Machloket, it doesn't teach it. Right? V'Rav Safra metargim af eshet achiv shelo haya ba'olamo. And Rav Safra understood it as a situation where the brother had not been born there, okay, at the time. Umishkachet la b'shita achim. And he understood it regarding a situation of 6 brothers. Va'aliba de Rabbi Shimon. And according to the view of Rabbi Shimon, I'll just finish up on the top of Yud, V'simanach, and the way he understood it. Mate, okay, in other words, the oldest brother may have died. Nolad, the youngest brother then was born. V'yabem, okay, and then perform Yibum. Mate, another brother died, right? Nolad, okay, V'yabem, right? And then, okay, so that was how he understood it, right? In that situation. Art Scroll wants to translate that, by the way. Okay. According to Rav Safra's interpretation, Rav and Rabbi Chia refer to a case that is the subject of dispute. Since Rabbi Chia taught his Braita, an elaboration of our Mishnah, we learn the Mishnah itself does deal with disputed cases. Okay. Right. So what happens? So that's right. But then he says, how could Rebbe have said that the Mishnah does not deal with cases that are subject to dispute? Okay, so the Gemara then finishes, Elala Rebbe, Hani Klali, Lit Le, right? He did not hold by those rules that Rabbi Chia used. And that's where we'll stop right there. Okay. All right. Right. Bob, thank you for the use of the phone. I think you had a call come in.
Got a lot of calls.